Just getting everything set up. Bear with me. I wanted to do this podcast today. Talk a little bit more about Itzhak Bentov's second book, and just go into a little bit more in depth. You know, I make these little YouTube shorts. I talk about it a little bit, and some people get a little bit interested in them. And then I say, hey, come take a look at my full-length video. And full-length videos, all that means is where I talk about it a little bit more and give you my opinion. But I feel like it's really these podcasts where I'm able to talk about it, explain it a little bit more, and get out more of my opinion. So bear with me. I'm just adding some notes into the chat, just welcoming everybody in. I am a one-person operation, so it does take me a minute to get going, and I think by the time I get things set up and make sure everything is running excellent, the audio, making sure that this is somewhat squared, that type of stuff. It's generally when a couple people start coming in, and so that's generally when I'm able to start talking. Today, I was going to talk a little bit more about Itzhak Bentov and how a lot of people know him from his work. Let me get over to this area. Most people know Itzhak Bentov from his first book, which is Stalking the Wild Pendulum. And that book focused mainly on the human body, the consciousness, meditation. It talked about inner experiences. And but his second book, a cosmic book on the mechanics of creation, goes much bigger. It goes, instead of asking what is consciousness, it starts asking how did the universe form at all. This book, I do want to say, is a little bit more speculative than his first book. So sometimes people read one and they expect from the other, or they read the other and then. So on the cosmic one, he does get a little bit more imaginative. And so with that said, I just want to let you guys know that Stalking the Wild Pendulum, just in retrospect, he did have his work submitted. And in fact, this is one of the things I just found recently, an avenue where I can explore a little bit more about Itzhak Bentov and find out maybe what he was working on his later years. I know he was working on what we call the enlightened model, which was a standard. It was a method, kind of like the CIA gateway process, where you could dial down the human as the kind of like a musical instrument, a resonant instrument that he was what he was thinking. But one thing we got to talk about when we talk about Itzhak Bentov is panpsychism. It's the idea that consciousness may be a fundamental property. This is kind of still a controversy amongst science. This is a theory. But what we talk about here on this channel too is most of quantum mechanics that we talk about on this channel, like the wave collapse and things like that, that is all what we call quantum measurable theories. But still, we're still all in that theoretical world of possibilities when we talk about Bentov's second book. So, let me get down here. In the book, he discusses one of the main core concepts that maybe the universe began from oscillation and vibration, that reality itself emerges from repeating patterns and cycles. It's creation is not a one-time event, but an ongoing rhythmic process. Let's get that. That's a very profound idea that Bentov early on really wanted to establish. and that consciousness and matter may arise together from the same source. So he often described reality like a wave or a pulse, not static, always moving, which in today's scientific fields, we do see things like oscillation and vibration, like background radiation. We do see this exist. This is a fundamental property that does exist in the universe. In the first book, when he's talking about vibrations, oscillations, and a lot of that kind of stuff, he's measuring the heart, brain. These are real waves. The person as an instrument, and later in this cosmic book, he discusses a little bit more of how the inner workings kind of translate to the outer workings of the cosmos itself, and how there is a correlation between a lot of the mechanisms, a lot of the systems that we see in nature also out in the universe. And he was able to extrapolate in his Bentov imaginative way how that's possible. And what made Bentov super special is he actually included diagrams. He had that magical ability, kind of like Feynman and a few other people, to be able to tell a story with humor, with a very big humble aura about him. He came from scientific background, engineering. He was an engineer. Physics wasn't his number one thing, but he had connections. In fact, in Stalking the Wild Pendulum, he actually thanks a few people from top universities, and I'll put that list below when I get to it. He was thanking people because he had submitted his work to him for fine tuning, and his work, they said there's nothing wrong with it. You just need to tweak this and that kind of stuff when he was working with the Stalking the Wild Pendulum. Now, in the cosmic book, a lot of this is a little bit more speculative, a little bit more imaginative. He did also still talk to people and try to get their opinions. This came later. These were works in progress later on, the 70s. He was in his 50s. A lot of this he had the groundwork for, was just finally being able to put a book together. And so that's how we got the cosmic book. That's a little bit about what's going on there. I want to talk about creative synthesis a little bit. I think that needs to be mentioned in here. That's kind of a big word, but I'll kind of break it down and try to make it as easy as I can. He blended what we call science and mysticism. And mysticism isn't necessarily something that's unreal. It's something we don't know enough about. It's something we don't have enough data over time. Some of it's BS, and I'll call it as BS. But then I put it in the BS category. I don't put it in the mysticism category. You dig? Mysticism is a category that has not been fully explored. It either goes into one or two categories for the science community. It goes in what we call the bucket, or it goes on to what we call the stage. And the stage is a place where your work gets looked at more serious. And Itzhak Bentov's was definitely on there. His cosmic book was just more of a trip for me. Like I said, I dug the diagrams. I dug the vibe. There is a reoccurring theme in this about energy, and I just wanted to share that, where it does blend a lot of beliefs, traditional beliefs, and that's where a little bit of the mysticism comes in with what we know today. He was really impactful about, why did the people think what they thought a long time ago? Why does that continue through history when some of our science didn't make it through history, but this did? And because there's a ring of truth behind it. And it's separating the fact from fiction, finding out what's real and what's not is the ongoing journey. It's one that we explore here at Pile Advanced Research. If you're enjoying this, please hit that like and subscribe if I'm earning this. And I'll continue just making some discussions, letting you guys know about amazing books that were from the past that a lot of people may not know about. I talk about Itzhak Bentov because he really resonates with me. And I do think there's a lot more there to be discovered. I think that he has a very good passion for this stuff, and I feel and share that passion. And I think the only thing that keeps us from getting those answers is, one, sheer determination and love for the game. And that's what I see in this guy. I know because I have it and I try to share it with other people. When I see that, that cuts through research and math and science and theories like nothing. Einstein, Newton, Carver. We're talking about people who had very limited training, but it did not matter. Sheer determination, love for the game. And like I said, I'm rereading this book. I'm bringing this book more into light because I feel that it's very important. I think there's more in here we can learn from this book. And I'm actually taking some things out of this and applying it to some advanced theories and seeing how they hold. I do believe his model of the enlightened body is a possibility, and I'm diving in here more. There is more in here, and I think that's why it resonates with so many people. I think there's a lot of science in here, but there's a lot of still mysticism. And remember what I said about mysticism. Mysticism isn't bullshit. I will say if it's bullshit. I will call it. And it's not exactly science either. I'll say that it's science. We've proven it several times through several fields. It's a solid theory that a lot of us agree on. But this one I'm going to put in the mysticism category. Mysticism says we need more data. Mysticism says we don't know. There's a lot of things in that category that I put. Gravity, dark matter, things like that still we don't know enough about, have no idea about gravity still. I, as well as other people, believe, and we're going to discuss this on another future podcast here coming up, we're going to talk about the collapse of the wave function, what that is, and why that's important, why we think it might be tied to gravity. But that's for another episode. That's a separate thing here at Pile Advanced Research, where we really try to peel the layers back from the onion and just see what we have, and we try to share it with people. So anyways, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Going to be doing another podcast a little bit later today. I want to go back actually writing another ebook I've got coming back. This one's going to be about Itzhak Bentov's second book, a cosmic book, The Mechanics of Creation. That was a really hard book for a lot of people to digest and eat. And I made a companion guide about his first book, and a lot of people are really enjoying that one. Go take a look. I'll put the links down in the description. It's easier. It's kind of like Cliff Notes. You don't need to necessarily read the whole thing and come out with a clear sense of it. I know so many people that were in my classes in college, as well as people I still discuss heavy subjects with, who have a hard time grasping Bentov and his musings. And we'll discuss that more on an episode. And in fact, it was a great comment. It was one of the best comments I could have ever had on any of my books that I ever wrote. He says, you have a strong gift for taking Bentov's musings and making it understandable. And that was oh man, I almost cried on that one. I'm telling you. It's what I'm trying to do. I honestly think, everybody, that I think instead of just scientists working on the hard projects, I think there's a lot of us who could be doing some side work, just explorative. I think that the only thing that's limiting each person is themselves, and especially in nowadays, not needing the solid scientific background. I think that you can come up with some very unique ideas and then bounce them back against science and test them yourself. And I think that's what Bentov was doing here for his second book. I honestly believe he was probably working on his third book, but I have some major research to do on this one. I have names that he mentioned in his book, Stalking the Wild Pendulum, of certain professors that he was in talks with in releasing the Stalking the Wild Pendulum. It's actually mentioned. All of those professors, doctors, whatever you want to call them, have passed. It's been some time. Now, that doesn't mean their work hasn't, and their journals. And so there's a lot of discussion where they had talked about Bentov and discussing stuff with Bentov. I will say this, that at the time they did not discuss it out of respect for Bentov. They knew he was releasing this book. They did not want to release that information prior to that. It was kind of like a non-disclosure type thing. But then once his books came out, they talked about a little bit. But then when he passed, we got a little bit more. We have more to research to do, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I have anything more. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. I'm hoping that you're enjoying the channel. I will be doing the meditations again. I think I'm going to try to do a meditation session tonight. So if you want to see what the Itzhak Bentov meditation looks like, I will be doing it live tonight for all of you. Come join us. And as always, you guys have a beautiful day.